down, Law. That was a fantastic understanding from Wonder, calling it inting. We'll talk about it a little more. This is PGL, and it's time to wrap up another fantastic week of League of Legends action. Welcome back to the LEC post-game lobby after week 3 of the spring split. I'm Machine, I'm joined by Frosk, and shortly joined by Caps and Rekkles. We are going to be having royal bottoms on this sofa.
Yeah, intense. Kinda. How do you feel? Like your second go at PGL and you get Caps and Rekkles?
Yeah, no pressure or anything. You know, this doesn't happen every day. Not only does this game not happen every day, but I have to, like, you know, talk to these guys. What are we going to talk about? What do you reckon?
I have a couple of ideas. I typically really want to talk about Rivalry, maybe, some Dynasty, some Legacy.
All of those things that we've just been talking about, we can actually have the people themselves be a part of that conversation. I'm not complaining.
I am very curious to kind of check in on what kind of Mickey was saying earlier in this idea of they just messed up. Because we were talking about this on the analyst desk earlier, that when it's G2 versus fnatic, it's the smallest margin of error before games are just ripped away from you. And then from a fan's perspective, you just see a team get utterly smashed. You're like, huh, that was easy. But you know that if you ran it back 100 times, you could get smashings on either side of it. So I'm really curious where Rekkles and Caps would put their finger on, this was the oopsie.
Yeah, well, that was a perfect way you summarized it before. Yeah, who's going to make the least oopsies? And clearly, G2 did make the fewest oopsies today. Least, fewest?
Fewest boo-boos?
Fewest boo-boos. Okay. Yeah, thank you. We're working through the
workshop that one.
Just doing it live. I mean, why not? I think that in the words of what's his face, do it live. Bill O'Reilly.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Good. What's its face?
Yeah. What's his face? Bill O'Reilly. Anyway, what's his face aside, we're also going to be talking to Caps and Rekkles, and I think perhaps first question, is Rekkles about to move to the mid lane? You know, just keep the consistency, keep this rivalry going, just keep bouncing around the lanes. But all round, what was your take on the game itself? You haven't had any post-match on that from you.
Ooh, I know that there was a lot of questions about fnatic's draft phase. I was very much aligned with Febvin and Yamato as soon as we saw like the Veigar. And I know that as we were walking out, I turned to you and I said, a champion like Veigar into a team like G2, like I can actually see that working really well, especially when you already have a Senna. Usually Senna, like Jen, we were explaining to you, plays team fights pretty slowly because it's not about the attack speed, it's about kind of like the front-loaded damage. Like she just hits you super hard.
We saw Rekkles like lose half his health to the Senna ult before he hit the Zhonya's, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you have a champion like Veigar who can, if you get a single pick, completely blow someone up, but with the Event Horizon, his ability to kind of control slow fights and take different shots at you. So I thought it would have an interesting dynamic on how it played out. Unfortunately, we got like one good team fight and then everything collapsed.
Well, the royal bottoms I was talking about earlier are joining us. Caps and Rekkles, welcome to the sofa, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I'm nervous, so let's hope I do okay. But first things first, we've just heard the casters say, G2 fnatic games are always like this, and then we had, I think it was Dracos saying it's like smart play, smart play, smart play, int, smart play, int, smart play, smart play. Does it feel like that when you're actually playing as well, or is it just for us watching the chaos unfold? Rekkles?
I think today maybe not so much. No. I feel like I made the game a bit too hard for my team with my play, so not so much today, but usually it is.
Do you think then it was the catch that Caps made on you in the mid lane that really like was the big oopsie?
No, I think I was in a bad spot ever since I died to Aatrox TP. Level 4, I think this was. Maybe level 3, level 4. So how I have to play this lane is I have to push and find a base at some point because Caps has TP advantage on me. But instead, we looked for a fight, and then they had TP advantage, which we called, but we didn't pay enough attention to. And then I died there and lost my summoners, and after that it's like my wave was frozen as well, and it was just, I was always a level down, and he always had an item on me, so it was hard for me to play.
At this high level, when it is teams like G2 and fnatic, do you guys honestly feel that it's that much of a domino effect? It's at level 4, and let's say a 30-minute game, because I didn't respect the TP, because I didn't get the freeze. Like if you lose even that slightest, it's just, I'm done here. Like unless there's a big turn, there's no way that I get back into the game.
I would say when you play against good players, it is. And Caps is a good player, so he always had like mid-wave control. He always took vision on the side they wanted to play towards. So it just felt like I was never in a position where I could actually do anything other than farm on my tower and take camps. And then the comp isn't really designed for me to shine, so I was in a really tough spot. I think I should have actually changed my mindset this game because I was trying to look for red and white weapons on Aphelios, but I think I should have looked for green and purple probably when I was in that spot, so that I could at least hit them from range or at least CC them. But instead I was in this mindset that I need to carry, but I don't think it was my time to shine, like my time to carry when I made those mistakes early. So I feel like this game was on me, but maybe you have another opinion.
What do you think, Caps?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I maybe disagree like a little bit with the whole thing, because I think like we got like a really huge lead in the early game, but I felt like fnatic were kind of like bouncing back. Like we started ending a lot, especially like my death was like really bad when Lee Sin kicked me, and they started bouncing back like and coming further and further like back in the game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like enough to get the win this time around, but I felt like it was maybe a bit too close to comfort, and I feel like that's the biggest difference between playing fnatic and playing the other teams in the EU. Because with the early game lead we had, like with the TP behind, it would probably just be over against any other team. But against fnatic, we still had to like play
they
like respectfully. Yeah,
right.
yeah, we just had to play respectful, and we couldn't just like disrespect. We couldn't just like take every fight and win it. We still had to like respect, you know.
So this is a question. This is right off the top of the head, because I've been thinking of this. Well, as we have these conversations about making the fewest mistakes, and when you're playing against a G2 or a fnatic, I've heard other teams from all of the other players here at the LEC describe both of your teams as feeling like you don't have a chance to breathe. You haven't got a choice to make it. You can't think about what you want to do. It just has to be happening. Otherwise you fall behind. So my question is, if you guys are applying that much pressure in your games against other teams, how does that pressure manifest? Is everyone doing it silently? Does everyone just know their role so well that it's kind of happening without too many strings being pulled? Or does there need to be a voice that's saying, that keeps that pressure up in the communication and in the gameplay?
Well, I mean, it's probably. I don't know if it's different for different teams, but for us, obviously, everyone is talking. Like everyone sees opportunities, so everyone gives information all the time. So it's all about get the right information out and then making the right calls based on it. And it kind of changes all the time, because it's like we react to what fnatic does, and then we do something different, and we kind of change the plan all the time, right?
Yeah, like a 10-man game of chess, just constantly.
Exactly, yeah.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. I did want to ask a kind of a bit more of a wider scope question, because the word that kind of flew out of Yamato's mouth talking about playing with you was dedication. He said, playing, I think it was 9 years ago, he played with you and said he couldn't, 9 years, bloody hell, time flies. He said he couldn't believe, the dedication he could see in you then. And I think there's no better example of, that dedication lasting for the fact that you're at the top of your game 9 years later. I mean, I just want to perhaps open the door a little bit behind the curtain to understand how. How does one maintain dedication? What is the source of that? What is the motivation to keep wanting to be better, heading towards a decade of League of Legends?
I guess winning Worlds is the goal.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at all the time. But for mindset, I would say the biggest thing I do is try to not live on my past achievements or past experiences too much.
Right.
I think it's a thing maybe others do, but I don't. I can't tell for sure, right? Because I'm not them. But
sure.
At least for myself, I always try to reset myself every year, so I don't play really well one year and then go into the next year thinking that whatever I did that year will make up for any sort of failures I could possibly have here.
Yeah.
So instead, I have the constant motivation or constant drive to keep performing and keep winning.
Right. So you don't let the successes before let you get too lazy into the next year.
Yeah. Because I know there's people that want to win, so I need to be there as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any? We'll get to you in a second, Caps. Do you think that there's any negatives there? Because just kind of listening to the language that you choose, there's words like "that game's on me," failures, drive, motivation. Like when we're talking about that dedication, because it's so interesting. I was talking to Alex backstage, and I was like, the incredible thing to me about Caps and Rekkles is that it shows that there's two different pathways to success, and kind of your dedication or your passions for the games, and then how you go about executing them. Yeah. And maybe it's the wrong read. I look at Caps and I'm like, goes to G2, it seems to be a squad that's all about fun, that thrive, that liveliness for the game. And that's not saying that Rekkles doesn't have fun and thrive and liveliness for the game, but it's that much more stoic, buttoned up, I'm here to win and I'm here to sacrifice everything to win. And so do you ever feel that pressure? Do you think that there's a limitation that when you put so much on yourself, that game was on me, I can't get lazy, I can't get complacent, I must keep reaching for it?
I don't think there's a limit, but there's definitely times when I'm at my low, so to speak. I think it goes up and down all the time. Some weeks I have a lot of fun playing and it's kind of easy to do all of these things, and then some weeks it's maybe not as fun playing, and then it's really hard to have all of this pressure. But for the most part, I've never felt like I've had a limit.
Yeah.
I think there was one point in 2017 when I almost lost it, but otherwise I've always been fine. So I don't think there's a potential limit here. I just have to keep grinding and keep trying my best.
You used a fantastic word there, which was fun. And when I was speaking to Finn and PGL yesterday, he made it clear that he thinks that fun, like his team having fun, when they're having fun, they're winning. And it's not that they're having fun because they're winning, as in he thinks that when the team is the morale and there is a degree of fun being had, they play better. Is that universal? Do all players kind of acknowledge that, or is that a individual thing, Caps? I mean, G2, you guys are known for being the team that's having fun and doing damage at the same time. But I mean, do you believe that this is something that everyone needs, or is this specific?
I mean, for sure, everyone should have enjoy. I think more than having fun, right?
Yeah,
it's just about enjoy doing what you're doing. If people like playing League, if your whole team enjoys League, if your whole team enjoys playing with each other, then it will work out a lot better than if it doesn't, right? And there's always times where it's rough to play with each other, and there's always times where it's easy to play with each other. But it's all about making it better when it's hard and just enjoying it when it's easy, right?
I have had so many arguments with Counter-Strike players and ex-professionals with the conversation of, do you have to be friends with your teammates or can you be colleagues with your teammates? And everyone's got a different opinion about, can you just be colleagues? Like, you go into the office, it's like, hello, let's practice. Okay, let's perform in this game. Goodbye, I'm going home. You do your life, I'll do mine. Do you believe that that's something that genuinely, it is within competitive esports?
I think it depends on the team.
Yeah.
I think every team has a different atmosphere or way they want to go about things. I would say, I mean, I've not played myself in G2, but I would say they're probably more of the we need to be friends to perform kind of team. And then maybe Fnatic has always been seen more as the we can be professional and still perform kind of team.
Interesting.
But for myself, at least, from experience, I've always performed better when we have enjoyed playing with each other. Yeah. So I believe in the friends part.
Interesting. So that there is an extra, perhaps, percentage to be gained in that extra connection. And Caps, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, right? I think it's just about if you can make it work in that sense. I mean, I've obviously never had a job in that sense, a different job than playing League. And playing League has always just been with your friends. And then when I joined pro teams, it's just been with the guys I live with, right?
Yeah.
So it's always just been with friends, and I don't really know the whole colleague interaction, how that even means, right? So I can't say if it's better or worse, but I would just assume that being friends and having good fun, and also just being able to count on each other and a special level is important in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always going to be, you would hope, mutual respect, but also you're all unified over the fact that you're passionate about something to this extent. So I think the friend part can come quite naturally. You're both going to want to talk about this game you've got such a passion for and want to understand the furthest reaches of. I do want to make sure I do my job as well. I was supposed to tell you all about the player of the game, the key player of the game. That was 25 minutes ago I was supposed to tell you about that, but we did do one, and Perks won it. I told you I was going to mess this up. We did it, though. Worth reminding you that we did have to crown a champion of this game. G2 Fnatic's MVP is going to be Perks. That's the key player of the game.
If I had to think about because we were having this discussion early on in rehearsals, and obviously for our featured matchup, we had a cool picture of you and a cool picture of Rekkles all standing next to each other. And I was like, these are the two prodigies that the LEC made. When Rekkles, super young, IPL 5, remember you coming in, you were the prodigy ADC, and then Baby Faker comes along with Caps, basically day one, you were the new prodigy. And if I had to put the final player as kind of the best 3 players that Europe has ever created, I would put Perks there. Do you guys agree, disagree? Is there any other names that you would personally reach for?
Well, now you're kind of putting me on the spot, so I don't know if I don't want to call anyone out.
Flame your teammate, kick Perks out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty accurate, I guess, but I don't really have a thought. That's something I'm thinking about every day, right? So
I'll just write it down in my LEC fan fiction one day.
And it does mean that G2 continue to be undefeated. My question, though, is there it's clear you guys are at the top of the table. Is there a degree of rivalry? As in, were you anticipating this game not only for all the hype video we just wrote, the match of the week video was amazing, and the interviews you gave before it, but I mean, does this game hold more weight? It's not just the point on the board. It's not just the rivalry between yourselves, but in terms of European LEC, Fnatic G2, is there more to it? Is there more rivalry on the line in comparison to any of the other teams you're going to be playing?
I don't personally mind so much, but I can imagine there's a lot of fans right now that are not too happy with me. So.
No, but that's okay. This is what's actually important. Is yes, sure, there's the history, we talked about that before, but it's just a case of what is the reality? The reality for you?
To me, it's just a point on the board. But I can imagine for, as I said, many others, it's more than that. So.
Do you think that there was like a key takeaway from this game that you feel like very clear, like, we learned this from our match against G2, and so the next time that you guys face, like, you get better? Or was this just didn't play the draft out well, made a single mistake, if we had another run, this is what we would change?
For me, at least, it would probably be to stick to my game plan, because I made it a universal thing before the game that I would try to push in the wave and base, and I feel like I should have just emphasized that rather than kind of let the plan go and try to look for this play instead. Because even if the play works, it's still a risky play, and I don't think we were in a spot in the game where we had to make those kind of plays. So, yeah, once again, I take full responsibility for the game, but I learned something, so that's good. I can try to do better next time.
Caps, do you feel that across from Fnatic, does the game mean more to you because it is your ex team? Does it? I mean, the juicy again. If we open up like the fan fiction, it's like, oh yes, it means so much to beat Fnatic because it makes his trade to G2 worthwhile. Is it just I learned this in the game? That's how Sinnoh works in this interaction, or Aphelios is obnoxious when he does this.
Well, I mean, I think it's always like a lot more hype when you play against like the better teams. Obviously, even when I was on Fnatic playing against G2. It was always the most fun, just because they were the best in Europe back then, right? And playing against them was just a fun game, you know? We had both fun game, and also it was like, you could really challenge yourself against the best. And the same thing I have against Fnatic. Now it's like even more increased, I guess, because of, obviously, I left Fnatic. I remember especially last year, when I was playing against them the first couple of times, it was like so weird, because it was like 4 of my former teammates. So I was like really nervous going into every match, like even more than normal. I remember like, even some games I was like shaking going off the stage, and I've never even tried that. And I've been to like world finals, you know, but playing as Fnatic, that was like what made me shake.
Does it make it easier or harder? Like, do you find yourself, I know what Bwipa wants to do here, or I bet I know what Rekkles is saying in comms right now. Like, do you think that gives you like an edge, or? I
mean, for sure, yeah. I mean, that's for sure times where I'm thinking like, I know they want to do this, or they want to play around this, or they're gonna do this. And I mean, obviously I don't want to say anything, but it's a lot of fun, and you have so much more insight to Fnatic compared to like a lot of other teams who have so many rookies, right? It's not even just like Fnatic because I play with them, but it's just more veteran players where you start learning what they do. But rookies, you don't really know them, so you can maybe see what they did in solo queue, but that doesn't help you much, right?
Yeah. Is it the same for you, Rekkles, that when you're playing against the more experienced teams, there is that extra luxury of just kind of understanding the individuals, knowing how they play more on a micro scale?
I guess there is, but at the same time, usually then they're really good at the game, so it's not like, for the most part, it's not actually a good thing. But I can say for sure that it's hard to play against the rookie teams in the first couple of weeks of the splits, because then usually they have a couple of months of boot camp, and you don't really know what kind of players they are.
All of you, they've got all the information they need on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in the end, I think usually the veterans come out on top because they have the experience and they kind of last for longer, I guess. I feel like the rookies kind of just like burn out quicker.
Yeah, 2 pump chumps.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, that's the end of that. This does, however, mean that G2 is undefeated on top of the LEC, followed by a group of 4-2 teams. Misfits have also pulled off an insane turnaround, winning their last 4 games. My question to the panel, though, is can the Misfits make playoffs? It did seem like quite a convincing performance today. What do we think? Caps?
So I'm not really sure exactly about Misfits, like what to think of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fevin is a strong player, and he looks to be like back in like more of the 2017 shape than compared to 2018. So it's gonna be fun to see how Perks will do against him. And yeah, I'm not really sure to judge like the rest of the team.
I think a lot of people have the same question mark around Misfits. Froskurinn, you've already expressed your thoughts, saying it's kind of you're not yet sold. VODs says he thinks that they're the worst in the league. You're a bit of a middle ground.
No, it's super clear that I would say Misfits are a well-drilled team. Like, when you watch what they're doing, if they're kind of left to their own devices where they get to choose the lane assignments, they get to choose kind of where they walk onto the map, that it's clear that, like, coaching has been like, at this point in the game, this is what you should do, and remember to set your vision here and do that. And it's just an issue where individuals will either kind of get lost in the motions or just, like, make a mistake where someone has a flash burn at an inconvenient time or gets picked off, and then it slows down all of their results. So they're clear that they're learning the fundamentals, and you're seeing developments made every every single time, which is why when Febby gets super far ahead, like he gets to be that leader. He gets kind of unlocked onto the map. Like if he's in a good position, he can be like, yo, bananas, like what are you doing? Come over here, and like guide them like sheepdogs. Whereas if he falls behind, then he has to worry about himself and not get to like puppet his team. The issue then is like, again, that consistency. If they can shore up where they're consistently making the correct fundamentals, then yeah, playoffs is super easy for them to make. But again, it's about your goalposts. For a team like Misfits, playoffs is not necessarily expected, but that's like a good thing for them. But if you're trying to take down the top teams, the Fnatics, the G2s, even like the Rogues, Excels, and Origins, you have to have that creativity. You can't just have the fundamentals. You then have to have that extra something on top of it. And that seems to be the barrier to entry. Like Mad Lions, SK, Rogue, Excel all have great fundamentals, and then it's a race to who puts a twist on it that can compete with the constant flurry of punches and the constant problem solving that Fnatic and G2 and Origin can do.
The way you're describing it to me is it's almost like, you know, it's a marathon, and everyone can cover the first 10 miles, and then it's G2 and Fnatic who've got the endurance, and then there's just no one's got the additional strength and the additional oomph to keep up for that full endurance run. Terrible analogy. Made up on the spot, but that's good because you can just move on and say some different words instead. Because in the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard, Perkz is in first place. Rekkles is coming up the rear, as well as Alfari right behind. And it is important to note that in the event of ties, the player with the highest percentage of votes does come out on top. So you guys go and share your love and let us know who you think was the Player of the Game as we continue next week. That's it for today, though. We've got the schedule for the LEC, which returns next Friday for week 4 with G2 facing a new challenge in the Surging Misfits, while Fnatic will be taking on Vitality. It is going to be a good day in the office, and in fact, I think if you want more League of Legends, do be sure to stay tuned for week 3. It is just around the corner, Rekkles. Thank you so much for taking the time, Caps. Thank you guys. It was fun to watch. The hype video got my blood pumping, as did the game, and I think we're all going to go tuck ourselves into bed or play some more League of Legends. One of the two, maybe both at the same time. That's it for us all here in Berlin, but fear not, we will be back next week, and we hope you have a great night.
League of Legends.
Comes out, Odoamne is going to try, that equalizer is going to separate them. Crown shot and limit off towards the top side. Johnny Shadow comes out as the Dragon Beast sets. Lorx in the realm of death, but Odoamne is going to be kicked away. Trick trying to take it before Lorx can get back in. Limit off towards the top side is fighting. He's just acting as a bouncer, acting as bodyguard. Lorx steals it away for Schalke, and now the fight continues. Lorx with a double knocker. The shutdown coming out. It's Forgiven who's gone down. They're chasing on to Crown shot, but Abadaga is going to go down as well. SK get their second wing of Spring Split.
See if he can do it.
The best CC is Death and Seiken. Oh, the hook! Expectation jumping into the middle, but here comes Mickey from the side. Cop with the Clancy shut down. Jacktro's going to fall as well. That's 3. Seiken tries to jump in, but he can only get 1 and 2 for Cabo.
Sandra and Set are on the way in. Still in the fight. Ben can look for the dive. He's going to dunk the Seraga. Whoa! Combo! That's what you love to see. Old Vander knocked in. Ben now trying to run face first in the middle. Everybody Hansama with no clear target access. The pull back, the face breaker, the dunk down. But isn't enough. Hansama now contested. Rogue, you wanted a miracle under it. We might just see it. Arome, will he fall? Hansama running, backing off. Larson, they can't kill him. Going down. Larson, is he going to be able to find anything else? The knockdown, Humanoid, the shutdown. It's a beautiful fight for Mad Lions. Yeah, that would have been the start to a fight. Fevman had gone back to base. Here we go. That's the fight that you wanted. Instantly they start to turn. Upset still uncontested on the back line, but it doesn't matter. 2 quick kills picked up. King's coming in. They're trying to track exactly where far to go. They have vague information. They're there. Huge combo! And that's exactly what you want, but still Misfits are not dissuade. B-Boy starting to turn this one around. Upset, desperate to hold on to this fight, but it's incredibly close. It's incredibly back and forth. The ults come out. The feathers are pulled back. That's the double kill. Dan is going wild in the back line, dunking down on the OG Dreams. The TP coming bottom. They know they have the TP advantage. Wonder moving in on the way forward. G2 trying to find a kill. Locking down the Fnatic bot lane. Rekkles going down for first blood. You want a rivalry. This is how things get kicked off. 2 pickups. Whoa! Hillisang runs for the hills. Not going to go down that easy. Caps will find the kill in the end. Once again, Hylissang keeps fishing with these hooks and all. There's a TP from Perks. Here comes the flank. Want to find the flank. Rise Realmore. Where's it going to go? Rekkles caught in the middle of everyone, but the baby cage is not enough to buy time. And now Perks is moving in. He spotted an empty backline, and now he's trying to finish it off. He goes gold. He buys time. Caps now moving in as well. Going to be pulling a soul out. Self-fade taken down. Knocked down. Double kill for Wonder. Going over the wall, trying to find the flank. fnatic getting rallied, getting corralled, getting herded to their own death. G2 remain the undisputed best team in the LEC.
We have been tumbling around each other for quite a time. When you were coming around, I didn't feel like we tried. Your heart was shy and so was I. You found my weakness straight. As time went by, we walked the line. You made us so insane. Da 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 da. I feel like you wanna taste the tickles over my face. Let me direct you the way. I know you want it to stay. Your heart was shy and so was I. You found my weakness straight. As time went by, we walked the line. You made us so insane. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.